Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, damsels and dingbats, to another episode of Doin' the D. We are once again taking a look at the Henry Ford. This time we're going to take a look at the Edison Institute. As always, I'll give you a little bit of information about the location, and then we'll get into some photos and footage that I've taken during our visit, and we'll talk about those. So, like I said, last time we were together, we visited the Henry Ford Greenfield Village section, which was the outdoor portion of the museum. This time we're taking a look at the museum's indoor complex, also known as the Museum of American Innovation, or more formally as the Edison Institute. The Edison Institute was dedicated by President Herbert Hoover to Ford's longtime friend Thomas Edison in October 1929. The dedication was broadcast on radio, and attendees included Mary Curie, George Eastman, John D. Rockefeller, Will Rogers, and Orville Wright, as well as around 250 other individuals. The Edison Institute was at first a private site for educational purposes only, but it was open to the general public as a museum in 1933. Initially, Greenfield Village and the Henry Ford Museum were owned by the Ford Motor Company and began as Henry Ford's personal collection of historic objects, which he began collecting as far back as 1906. Today, the 12-acre site is primarily a collection of antique machinery, pop culture items, automobiles, locomotives, aircraft, and all sorts of other things. Alright, before we get started here, I want to warn you guys, this is not going to be a quick half-hour video. As a matter of fact, with all the footage that I've got, it's probably going to be close to 4 half-hour videos. I do not want to leave anything out. I don't want to cheap you guys on any of the amazing stuff that I've seen in here. This place is huge. And when I mean huge, I'm talking 12 acres. That's almost 12 football fields, ladies and gentlemen. This place has fleets of cars. It's got several trains. We've got houses in here. This, yes, it is a DC-3 hanging from the roof of the lobby. So, yeah, if that gives any indication of how big this place is, it took us about 5 hours to speed walk around this place just so that I could get as much video as possible on my phone before the battery died. So, this is not going to be a quick little video, so bear with me. There's a lot more to this place than planes, trains, and automobiles. Speaking of automobiles, we're going to go ahead and start our tour with the section called Driving America. This is the automobile section of the museum, and let me tell you, what a section this is. Now, when I started making my way through this area, I was so overwhelmed with the beauty of some of these vehicles that I completely spaced taking notes on what some of this stuff was. As you can see, we've got old horseless carriages all the way up to classic race car setups, classic muscle cars, modern vehicles. Just the number of things to be seen on 4 wheels here is just mind-blowing. I can't even begin to put into words I mean, look at this. They actually took an older model vehicle and pulled it apart and suspended it on wires so that you could see how it was put together. We got a futuristic rocket car here sitting right across the way. You know, I did take some video here just to show. I mean, it's like a car show more than it is a museum. We've got, I mean, what is this? It's an old steam-powered race car or something? And then behind it, you got like the more modern Texaco Star, and NASCAR and Formula One. And, I mean, this is just breathtaking. Like, I have no words. You know, I tried to get as much video as possible. I mean, we got the number 21 here. The number 21. what can you say? Look at these pieces of machinery. I mean, obviously, you can't get too close to them. You know, I would have given anything to sit in one of these things. Maybe not so much the older rusty models in the background, but some of these newer models are just like, I mean, look at that. I'm not as big into the more modern vehicles, but look at this. I mean, I would give any number of vital body parts to own that car. Or this one. You have to go to car shows to see some of the stuff like this. And a lot of the things that you see in this museum, you're not even going to be able to see at a car show. You know, we have a fake, a duplicate Texaco station sitting over here. Supposedly what the Texaco looked like back in the day. This area here, kids can actually go back and quote unquote work on the car, which is kind of cool. Some of these, you know, like I said, I didn't take notes as to what any of them were. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you car enthusiasts will be able to, you know, blam, 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 just name them off like that. And to those of you that can't, I apologize. That I was just so overwhelmed stopping and taking notes on, I mean, obviously that's a Volkswagen van. I mean, duh. But I couldn't tell you what year it was. Obviously, it's an important year if it's sitting in the middle of this museum. I mean, we've got Airstreams. They even went as far as to make these little cabins here to kind of show you what the rooms, like hotel rooms, looked like during the age that this vehicle was being used. You know, motorcycles, bicycles, you know, some of the more modern, like collapsible self-propelled vehicles and stuff. You know, it's just, it was amazing. I mean, I keep repeating myself here. Really, I should just shut up and let you watch the videos. But, you know, maybe this isn't the best video for me to try and improve my commentaries, but it's been a while since I've been to the museum and took this footage. I took this footage a couple months ago, and I've been meaning to sit down and get it put together into this video format, but I'm just now getting around to it, and just looking at this stuff again, you know, rewatching the footage as I'm making, you know, the video, putting the video together. It's just, it's taking my breath away again. I mean, look at these things. And that's cool. You know, I imagine it's got the top speed of, you know, maybe the speed of smell. But, I mean, American ingenuity, man. Of course, we're back to the another part of the race section. I'm not sure why I bounced back and forth the way I did, but I was like a kid in a candy store. I know I say that a lot in these videos because maybe I'm easily excitable. But, I mean, come on. This thing was on the salt flats. I believe at one point this had a speed record. Look at this. I'm not a major car person. Like, I like cars. I like classic cars. You know, I'd love to have an old muscle car or something like this here. I don't know anything about cars. You know, the history of them or whatnot. But it just goes to show you don't have to be a car fanatic, you know, an expert on the automobile to be excited. I mean, that's just, you have to be there. Watching these videos that I took while I was there is one thing. You know, to see these nice old cars and to hear the buzz of visitors in the background, but to have actually been there, surrounded by these things, within reach of them, was just, oh my lord. Here we've got a lineup. I'm just going to walk up and down. I believe it was giving no, this isn't the lineup. Here in a minute we'll do a lineup where they basically, I walk down the timeline from the really old cars and make my way up to the newer stuff. This is actually one of the presidential vehicles. I'm not sure which one it is. They have a whole row of them here. I think I may stop at one point or another and actually look at the signs. Yeah, this is the... I have no idea. This was a presidential vehicle. Actually used in... by a president. I may, when the video's done, go through and figure out who belongs to what car here and put some captions in for you, but... It's kind of cool that they had this set up. That bubble car there, I had to go around it again because it's so cool. I want to say this was Eisenhower's. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Yep, this is Eisenhower's bubble car. And they called it the bubble car, obviously, because of the transparent glass dome over the back. So that you could see him, but, you know, it offered some protection. Boy, Kennedy could have used one of those, huh? Just beautiful. Then we got the Cruella de Vil car that I showed a picture of earlier. I'm not sure if that actually was a Cruella de Vil car, but that's what it reminds me of. Again, like I said, I don't know anything about any of these, other than the fact that they're just beautiful. And I'm talking over my own video, apparently, so forgive me for that, but... I mean, that looks like somebody just dropped an oil barrel or a wood-burning barrel on the front of a vehicle. Look at the condition this thing is in. I mean, I imagine back in the day when they drove these things, they just drove the piss out of them, and they didn't think nothing about it, because, I mean, it was their everyday work vehicle, their everyday living vehicle. I mean, that white car there probably got, you know, who knows how many hours got put on that thing, driving some family guy to and from his job, or driving the kids to soccer games, but, you know, it's part of American culture and American history, and... You know, it may not be anything to look at compared to some of these classics, but it had a role to play, and it had a slot to fill in history, and it obviously was important enough to be shown in this museum here. So I just like how we go from one age to the next, like to one completely unrelated, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. I suppose if maybe I'd read the placards and I hadn't been so busy trying to get everything on camera, maybe there was, you know, a pattern to all of this. But just watching it now, it's just ironic that it can go from some, you know, 80s family car to like a 1980s family car to like 1880s family car, you know. And then over here we got all the mobster cars, and now we're back into the more classic sedans and stuff like that. It's just... like I said, there is one part where I walked a line, and it's kind of a historical progression of the vehicles. And we're back to the Reagan's car. I mean, I was bouncing all over the place in this. Maybe when I put this video together, I should have probably did some editing, like put this back with the other presidential vehicles, but. I was like, I guess there's a route you're supposed to take, and you're supposed to walk through the museum so that you can see as much of it as possible. But I don't think I followed that route, because instead of like walking down to one end of the building and then going left and coming back, I was like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back. Okay, here's the progression I kept talking about. Starting back in the early years when you just graduated from the horse-drawn carriages and we're getting into the motorized vehicles. The 1900s. Look at the difference just in 10 years. From those old stagecoach looking things. 30 years. I told Tara that my stepdad would absolutely love. I completely forgot. Yeah, like I said, I forgot. I was trying to get the video, and I wasn't. I was reacting, so I forgot that I did a little bit of. I caught shit like that in here, so you'll just have to forgive the redundancy. But yeah, as I was saying, as I said a couple times there, my stepdad's always. Remember when I was a kid, he was always talking about wanting to get one of the old war jeeps for a hunting rig and stuff like that. And the moment I saw that, as you could tell, the moment I saw that, it made me think of him. So. You imagine being the person that works here that has to keep all these clean? I mean, I imagine it wouldn't be too hard since they're inside. It's not like they're exposed to the elements or anything, but I imagine with as many people as come through here, dust kind of accumulates. They got to be dusted and polished and, occasionally moved. That would be a job. Teddy Roosevelt, kind of moving back down. They're getting older. Old stagecoach. Yeah, she's talking about a train car over there that's been converted into a diner. And here at the end of the video, we will actually stop in, and I'll show you a couple pictures of what it looks like inside. 15 cents. Next, we move on to our train section. I wasn't nearly as impressed with this section as I was with the cars. I do like trains, and I was amazed at how big some of these are. I did manage to get inside one of them, and you can see the instrument panel and so forth here. This is looking into one of the luxury coaches, what they considered luxury back in the day. It's kind of hard to see, but just the sheer size of some of these things. It's like I grew up with trains rattling down the tracks nearby. Trains were a regular thing. But I mean, look at how big this old thing is. I'd never seen one of these old ones on the tracks. Nuts, isn't it? The wheels are the one on the left over here is more akin to what I was used to seeing. When you think of trains, they're big, but you don't, it's easy to forget just exactly how big these things are. And I kept getting way ahead of Tara. She was actually stopping and enjoying the sights. And, yeah, look at the plow on the front of this. It's like, I don't know what is that for? I've seen cattle guards before, but what is that like? There's a herd of freaking moose on the track. You got to get rid of them all at once. But anyway, I kept wandering off in front of Tara. She was enjoying things, and I was so concerned about getting as much on camera as possible that I kept getting way out in front of her. I'm hoping next time we go back, I'll actually be able to stop and enjoy some of the sights and appreciate them a little more. Right now, I'm just trying to get as much footage into these videos for you guys as possible so you can experience it as well. Over on this side, we had a remote control. Look at this little thing. This reminds me of like the Cinderella carriage. You'll have to forgive the noise here. This is RC train track. that they had set up for the kids to watch. And there was actually a camera on one of them that was showing on the screen here. Kind of show you what the train's perspective, which was kind of cool. The screen's flickering because I'm recording it with my camera on my phone. It sounds like a river or something in the background. That's just a bunch of little electric trains going around and around and around on the tracks. Imagine that job, just sitting there playing with trains. This is the engine that I took a picture of Tara standing in front of at the beginning of this train section. And of course, smaller models of the larger trains behind them. Yeah, this beast is just they did yeah, I had to back all the way up against the wall next to the bathroom to get this all in. That is how big that thing is. Now I did this kind of backwards. This is actually the beginning of the train section. They did a progression through the years, kind of like we did with the cars. So you can see what the older trains and the older train cars look like. So this was very reminiscent of the old stagecoach days. These cars. And then moving forward in time a little bit, you know, you can see the evolution of the design. You can definitely see how over the years the trains got larger and larger. This one ran on wood, burned wood to create steam. The larger one in the background that I showed you that I went up into the cab, that was actually a coal engine. You could turn around from the instrument panel and look behind you, and you could see where they loaded the coal, and it got ground up and fed into the furnace. Yeah, I still don't know. It looks more like it should belong on a boat. Talk about a cattle guard. That's ridiculous. That's from Canada. That explains it. Sorry, Canadians, but I mean, come on. Can one of you tell me what that is? I mean, I know you have some big animals up there, but do you really, like, need a one-story cattle, like, guard to scoop them off the tracks? If it's that big, don't you think you can see it far enough away to slow down? This is all inside, people. We have full-sized trains inside, on tracks. They're actually tracks. You can see back there behind this one there. I don't know if you can see, if you'll be able to see it again, but there are tracks laid into the floor that they use to get these big bastards in here. Yeah, see those tracks? Well, as much as I hate to do it, we're getting to the point where we're running out of time. We still have a long way to go on the tour of this museum. Unfortunately, I simply do not have the time to fit the next section into this video. So we're going to go ahead and bring this video to a close. And next time we get together, we'll take a look at the aviation section of the museum, and we'll move on from there. So for now, I hope you enjoyed our look at the automobile and the locomotive section of the museum. Until next time, I've been your host, DM Navion, saying stay safe, have fun. I'm out.